Bar Rescue fans, Season 6, Episode 3, Ground Control to Major Jon.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, fans of Bar Rescue. Keven Undergaro here, joined by Nicole Brajer, and tonight, Nate Miller, server extraordinaire. Nate, didn't know you were a Bar Rescue fan.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge Bar Rescue fan, especially Jon Taffer himself.
Okay, so you had said to us as we were about to go up, why you're a fan. Tell me why.
I mean, you probably don't remember this, but I watched the show for a long time. In the first few seasons, and there was an episode that you were on, and you were a regular at the restaurant that I worked at, and watching you on that show and just watching Jon and the way that he coaches people and gives them confidence actually gave me the confidence to talk to you and tell you how much I was a fan of Jon, and we struck up a very interesting conversation, and now here I am.
Oh,
so
all right.
It's cute.
I wasn't even fishing for that. But thank you. But you were saying something about you wish your managers watched the show.
Oh yes,
Tell
yes.
me that. Speak to that.
Being a server and working in the restaurant industry, it's a very difficult job because it all depends on people. You can't just do the same thing every day because the situation's not always going to be the same. But it can be frustrating being an hourly employee with your managers and some of the decisions that they make. So watching this show and the way that he comes in, and there's lots of parallels that I can make. I'll say to issues that I've dealt with, right? And seeing the way that he resolves them, and sometimes how he has to shake some of the managers awake to be able to do their jobs. It's a nice catharsis. For
Your
me,
managers not watching.
They don't watch the show.
No,
they do not.
Nicole Brajer, how are you, darling?
Good.
Did you like tonight's episode?
I loved it.
You loved it,
I like seeing some female power,
right?
you know?
So much going on
Usually
there.
it's like, we've seen a lot of father and son, so nice to switch it up.
A female-owned business, and I felt Jon has a daughter, and I think similar, close to that age. So I feel like it really struck a chord with him. It really did.
Yeah.
And I know we see this every week where people don't take responsibilities for their shortcomings. It's always excuses. We see that every show, but I know it was very clear on this episode, that it was my sister, my father, my this, my that.
Yeah.
But,
She checked out long.
Did she ever
way
check
into
in,
it.
you think?
I
In
think-
terms of knowing the business, though, Nate, in terms of knowing, right? No.
I think she's one of the people who doesn't understand all the work that goes into it clearly, and just thought that by being there and yelling that things were going to get done, and that
and being hysterical,
right?
And I think that was their relationship. That be hysterical with one another. They probably were enmeshed,
Right. They don't get to communicate because they spend too much time being upset
and screaming at each other.
Yeah.
And but this is a lady that was a nurse for 28 years, and so normally, if I saw that on a resume, I would say to myself, I can work with that.
Right.
28 years, that's commitment. Number one. Number two, nurse is I think tougher than being a doctor because you don't get the accolades, you don't get the financial rewards, you don't even get the respect.
And you have a lot more patient interaction than the doctors.
Right. And more often than not, we depend on them more, when you're in the hospital than you do even a doctor. And so the bones are there. But, again, I would not be surprised. And Nate, as you do this show with me, you'll see So I think it's more than 50% of these owners have addiction problems or drinking problems or drug problems, especially drinking. And I wouldn't be surprised, when I did some due diligence on Bar Rescue updates, my suspicions could be confirmed that it was probably a lot of cocktails.
Well, I also
flowing.
imagine just being $600,000 in debt would make you drink.
Drinking.
I was just,
It doesn't help.
You're probably in debt because you're drinking your
Yeah,
own
it's a vicious
liquor.
cycle.
Well, yeah, you know what happens in life? You get very overwhelmed, and this may happen to you guys too, and you just get too tired and you escape. And you can escape through buying things. You can escape, go on a trip or run away, or you can escape through any other number of addictions. But you just have to stand and fight. I was literally a very, very dear friend of ours who happens to be a celebrity, just got wiped out by an assistant and a corrupt assistant and business manager. And I am meeting with all these different people to kind of repiece it all back together, but it all goes back to the same thing. Ultimately, this celebrity is responsible because she ran away from it.
Sleep at the wheel.
Yeah,
Right.
she ran away from it. She didn't address it, and now it's this mess. And I might be able to Taffer it back together, but until she takes responsibility now from this point forward. But what happens is I think you do get this person got very overwhelmed, and then you just check out. And I think you're right. And so we have a sister who, by the way, how strange, disappeared. Did you guys pick that up?
It's it's not strange though when you come from a dysfunctional family.
Right.
True that.
Yeah.
But still strange story wise that she disappeared. I mean, it's one thing that she passed away.
Right.
We're not talking anymore, but just disappeared.
Yeah.
That to me says there's probably
Something else going on there.
maybe like deep addiction and who knows, maybe it's you just kind of end up becoming
Right.
alligator meat for one reason or another down in Florida. But anyway, I very much enjoyed the episode taking place in a suburb right near Cape Canaveral, right near Nassau. And, the history of the bar, the bar name King's Duck Inn, and, we'll get into the SUV pull-up, but a really rich history. This place has been open since '62, but am I correct in Serena's father
Right.
bought it in the '90s?
In April 1987.
Oh, it's '87 he bought
Yeah.
it. Okay, all right. Geez, it was like all over the board the times. Like he died in 2014,
Right.
but it seems like he wasn't involved. He's not been involved for a while,
It had to
right?
have been a few years where he wasn't involved.
Yeah,
Right.
he probably was sick.
That's the guess. But the cool thing is the fact that guys who walked on the moon walked into this bar,
Right.
Yeah.
and that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Like that is something interesting. And I always like the bars where John respects the history and doesn't tear the name down. Even sometimes I know it's deserved. And most of the time when he changes the name, and in fact 90% of the time when he changes the name, it's deserved. But the problem is we're demanding so much change of the owners, right? And this is just one more thing we need them to buy into.
And names are also really important too.
Right.
It's more than just words. It's just like for people, a name has power. So, especially for this one, it made a lot of sense why he decided not to.
I'm glad he did. So I always like it when he respects the history. But what
Right.
I'm saying is I
Why he
bum
does
out
it
when he
most of the time.
does, not because he's not right to. It's because we're demanding so much change of these stubborn, often addicted owners. We've only got 5 days to change them, and we're decreasing the chances of success when he leaves. The more we ask of them. So
makes
that's why
sense.
when I see intricate drinks or intricate menu items, or we do a total 180
Right.
in concept, they're not going to buy in.
It has to be
They're
sustainable.
not. Yes.
Yeah.
So the chances are usually better when we keep the name. And they even admitted this in the SUV pull-up. They admitted that this was a silly name.
Yeah.
It was King because the King family was the one who opened it in '62.
Yeah.
But the Duck End, no one really figured that out.
It's a little random.
Maybe
Right.
they used to serve duck.
Maybe,
In the
maybe,
60s.
maybe. Well, it's Serena and the daughter Amanda that are quote running the bar. We have Dad's old guma. His old Nicole, correct?
Yes.
I think it seems like a guma.
A guma.
Right, this is
Yeah.
so Nate in Italian culture.
okay.
This is the girlfriend. This is sometimes the mistress. This is the
Gotcha.
side boob.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and she's staying there. Loyal soldier,
Helping out.
Yeah.
helping out. Been there forever. And needless to say, Up's gonna drive John and our own AfterBuzz alum Mia Mastriani, who, if you guys know, just is one of my favorite, if not the favorite. Her and Lisa Marie
Is she
Joyce.
really an AfterBuzz alum?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love her.
She's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Tell me what I want to hear your fresh thoughts, because I was with my wife and I watching last night, and I said I see Lisa Marie Joyce, Phil Wills, and I see Mia, and every time I see them I go star, and I see Mia and I'm like star, to me 9 o'clock Today Show in 2 seconds, Mia's on there. That's what I see. But tell
Yeah,
me
if
when,
that's
when you
something she's
see her.
interested in. I mean, I just like the way that she deals with the employees that she has to kind of essentially retrain from the ground up most of the times. She's just got I can tell she has a really good way with people, because sometimes she's very stern and is like, no, this is the right way to do it. This is a jigger. Learn how to use it. And sometimes she knows when to use the gentler touch in order to
Yes.
actually get some progress from
Right.
someone. Plus, I really like the drinks that she comes up with.
Yeah, she's a genius. Yeah, that's what I meant. I mean, when I say Today Show 9 o'clock, I actually think she could host the 9 o'clock hour of the Today Show. She's that good. But I also think, even in terms of being like an expert in the space, she's, and I just think that I feel like she goes a little rogue. Like, I think you can give, there's certain of the experts that Jon can kind of back up
Take a
a
step
little
back.
bit
Right.
and let them go, and she's one of them.
Yeah, she's to the point too.
What do you think, Nicole? So, because I know you're a mixologist, not a
Yes.
barmaid.
Yeah, mixologist.
No, you're not a
My mom
barmaid.
uses the term barmaid.
Barmaid.
let's get up to the times, you non-millennial.
Bring some casks of ale.
My mom doesn't like the term bartender. I don't know why. But
Barmaid. By the way, barmaid is a horrible
way
name.
worse.
It's
Not-
horrible.
It's not the.
Okay,
no,
so
I would
Miss
call it-
Mixologist, how do you rate Mia?
I'll give her a perfect 10. I mean, she's easy on the eyes. We can get
is
that out of the
beautiful.
way.
She's
She's a very pretty girl. And, because we've seen multiple experts, but it's nice when I said before, she was very to the point. She's not screaming and yelling, but when she raises her voice, she's matter of fact. And where is she from? Do you know? Because I
think New York.
Yeah,
I feel she's New York.
I could sense a little New York in her. Like, I like a little bit of the sarcasm. Remember, she's like, why are we not starting the cocktails? It's a breath of fresh air to be able to relate to the mixologists too, because I was watching old episodes because they repeat Bar Rescue a lot.
Oh, all the time?
And sometimes he brings on experts where I'm like, but she was great. And I like that he brought on 2 women experts with 2 women managers and owners.
I think he purposely did that.
Yeah, I like
and the
that.
thing is with Jon, he's always trying to give people a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason he has a lot of experts is because, listen, it's like Maria has all these hosts come up to her and say, my wife, Maria Menounos, how do you become a host? And then Maria sidebars and says, okay, do X, Y, Z. And you want to help. Most people want to help back as much as they can because they know they're very blessed and very fortunate to have the jobs they do. Jon's one of them. And I just know so many people, he knows and respects, but he wants to kind of spread that out. So that's why sometimes we get softer experts. But when I see Mia, we're in good hands. Now, Tiffany, same thing. Tiffany for the kitchen.
Yes.
So Tiffany also did a reality show with Jon. I don't know if you remember.
The Investor. What is that? What was that show called? Do you remember what it's called? You're talking about the Investor one.
It was an
where they have,
investor
like,
show.
3 different businesses. And
Yes.
oh my God, I love that show.
It was great, right?
Yeah.
It was really good. But Tiffany, is another one who's completely formidable, stands on her own
exactly.
perfectly. So we've got the all-star crew, and we have 2 women, which I love. We
Yes.
needed that. Well, they're looking at it, and they're talking about how depressing and how drab the place looks, which it does. They made fun of the name, like we said. We have a usual guy who can't handle chicken, but that's right. We see that every week. Here's what was interesting. Oh, and hitting 24 buttons to activate the POS system.
Actually, it was 48.
48. Excuse me. Sorry.
Double that.
Let me check my notes.
Yeah, they
All
said
right.
48, and there was carpeting on the wall, which was funny.
Which was nice. Keep the, so yeah, you can walk on the walls.
Keeps the sound down.
Yeah. And
Super
think about,
nice.
and by the
For
way,
the
think
6
of
people
all
that
the,
are in there.
and back in the day, I don't know if smoking's legal in that bar anymore, but back in the day, think of all the crap that's in
Right.
those, and you know that it's been there since the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awful. We see the mother and the daughter really going at it, and I have to say, so you had to go there with the millennial thing. So now you got me going. But I'll say
boy.
this: no, I no longer blame the millennials. No, it's not your fault. I mean that I mean that in the bottom of my heart.
Can I quote you on that?
Please, no, dude, it's not your fault. No,
You.
no, it's your it's your parents, and it's society.
Oh yeah.
And you see it here, because it's the parents who, on the one hand, did everything to keep the kid out of pain, helicopter parented, and wanted these kids to have the most spectacular, magical childhoods,
Right.
not at all preparing them for the real world, giving in their every need, sometimes just to not have to hear them bitch or cry. Oh, here's your iPad, here's your cable. But also, I'm finding the millennial parent, as the millennials have grown up, I'm finding a lot of them to being the still helicopter parenting, A, or B, being the BFF. You know, I see
Yeah, we're the too
so
close.
many of, especially in the women, who are like, it's like we're buddies, you know.
Or
and
they put pressure on the kids to fix their mistakes once they get older. Which we've seen,
right.
we've
No,
seen now.
100% right. But you know what it is? You know what I learned in therapy too? It's like they're actually trying to steal your youth energy, your young energy. They're actually trying to rob it. You know. And anyway, and to me, this is just what this was. And you know, when you listen, we're not an addiction show, but I will tell you, when you use alcohol or drugs or abuse it, and you get deep into that disease, you stop growing.
Right.
You stop growing. I mean, and that's why if you deal with a lot of alcoholics or drug addicts, you notice how they can be anywhere from 6 years old to like 15, really. But that's why, because they've stunted their growth. And so, anyway, I'm seeing all that go on here. I know I don't particularly love the way the daughter treated the mother in return, because two wrongs don't make a right. But I feel like mom's the culprit in this.
Yeah, I mean, some of that, not exactly parallel, but some of it reminded me of my own relationship with my dad, which I've been trying to work on with him. And we often get in that same space of where, you know, he maybe said something that pissed me off, or I said something that pissed him off, and now we're both just mad, and now we're both just saying things that we don't mean, but it's just to be
Well, here's the
hurtful.
rule of thumb. When you're the adult and you're the older person, you need to rise above. But then later on, now when you become older, as in like you're starting to get older, right? So you're starting to get a little sickly, or you're starting to get, but you're also going to be stuck in your ways. Now, when the child is an adult, now the child has to be the one.
Yeah.
Somebody, or has to be the bigger person. But when you have two children who just bang heads, like we're seeing here, nothing's going to get done.
Well, it was good to see that she did at least make the acknowledgement when he sat them down. Like, I know why we scream at each other. It's because of this, and she says like, I don't want it to be this way.
Well, I
but
thought
this is the way it is.
when they sat them down, and we'll get to that later for the sit down. And I guess let's just wait. Let's just wait to go over that. But so Jon makes his grand entrance to the bar. You know, I usually wait for his kick the door, but that's it. I can't take it anymore. I love that. He didn't snap this time.
No.
He did get out. Here was an interesting thing before I get into that, and I want to make mention of this. This kitchen was maybe not the worst we've seen, but it was pretty bad.
Awful.
And yet, no acknowledgement.
Yeah, they kind of glazed over it. I feel like there was so much stuff to do. There was only so much time in an episode.
So it had to be edited out.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Tiffany
Because
must have
it
worked
did-
a lot with him.
It did seem
'Cause
clean.
it did like
but
a
usually
180.
John says, "I'm not coming back
Right.
until this place is clean." Because did
Yeah.
you see when the daughter put her hand up
Yeah.
and all the black grease, like liquid grease, not even dried?
Yeah.
It really just surprised me. But I think that all did happen, but they must have edited it out.
Yeah.
There's no way John and Tiffany walked through that kitchen and said, "Yeah, not bad. We can work with this."
I think
no
there was
way.
so much of the relationship between the two of them was important to
Yeah.
the business.
So that
and what
got
was going
edited
on.
out.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
All right.
was
Well, that makes
focused.
sense. So John does the saunter in, and he gets with them, and he gets them kind of on the same page enough to get through the night.
Right.
You know, like, we're gonna work through this.
Yeah. I like that he said that. How can he respect them if they don't respect each other?
Right.
It's super important.
So, and of course they know John's there to save the day, so they're gonna behave for the night, and that's fine. We go to the next day, and we learn a little bit. We learn a little bit more about this. The father, when he owned it, he did make money, but we've got 30% less of a customer base, and John still feels like money can be made there. I mean, the economy and the space program has gone down. We all know that the money's not there in the space program either. So therefore, the workers that were there probably in the 80s, are not there. But there's still enough. There still is a space program.
Right.
There still are employees there. Here's what was interesting, where she just wouldn't own the failure at first. Remember, my sister, my this, my that, and then he really went at her. But these are life lessons for you guys,
Yeah.
for all of us.
Sometimes you need someone too to just tell you the truth and not sugarcoat it at
And
all.
well, also, you guys always need that, and that's as millennials, you've never had that. And when you get that, it's I'm traumatized. You're bullying me.
I'm triggered.
Well,
I don't
Safe
like
space.
that word. I don't like the bullying word.
Well-
my mom is an addict. So my mom has been sober now for like 130 days. And I've been
good
through
for her.
hell and back in the last year with her.
Wow.
But leaps and bounds even in the last like 2 months. And I like when he said, when you own this failure and say, I am failing because of me,
Right.
things will change. I've never heard my mom up until recently going to meetings and
good.
being an IOP,
yeah.
saying things like what Jon said, because it is true. You have to, that's part of the 12 steps and all that nonsense. But it's important to just stop blaming everybody
Yeah.
else, and that's where you will make leaps and bounds.
Even in any part of anyone's life, even when you're working with people, to an employee, if you can't get them to admit that mistake or understand the mistake that was made, you know, you are decreasing your chances
Yeah.
of solving that problem. But if you can get the person to admit it, you're halfway there. If they can admit it and also understand what they did wrong, you're halfway there.
And it must be difficult because you can tell, being that Serena's sister vanished, that she does come from some kind of dysfunctional family, and it's just sociology. Obviously, it's going to come into her relationship with her own daughter if she can't even get along with her own sister. It's good she had a great relationship with her father. She's very emotional about Lee's passing, and that she was really tight with him. And sometimes that breaks siblings apart. It does. But that shouldn't break her bond with her daughter, because that's her only daughter. She's the one that pulled her daughter into owning and running this bar. So, you know, it's...
And Jon called it out. You're not passionate about the bar
Right,
business.
yeah.
You're just not. And I think he knew that. Whereas
Yeah.
the daughter, who got thrown into it, but I'm just looking at her with the tats and all that, I feel like she would, with her attitude, her edge, I feel like she would love she would love to run this bar
and you
and
can
to
tell
own
she
it.
wanted to, but you need support. You can't... And she didn't have that from her mom for a while.
No. Well, again, I don't think the mother ever learned 5 minutes worth of the bar business. Okay, we go to training, and Mia comes up with a nice tequila sunrise. Looks very tasty, very refreshing.
Very simple.
Very
Right,
simple,
very
yeah.
simple, which I love. Yeah, but I love simple, Nicole.
Simple
For
and
these
effective.
guys, that's right.
I'm fine with it. I'm cool with simple.
Yeah.
Well,
If you can do it.
are you really fine with it, or do you want more? Because here's the thing: do you really think these people could handle more?
For a stress test?
Go ahead, Nicole. Be honest.
Yes, in a sense.
so?
Yes, in a sense that you can make like a simple cocktail like look complicated, but it's simple. Do you know what I'm saying?
You know what? You
When
keep
we-
saying
when we-
you're going to make us one of these simple
I know.
cocktails that
I didn't
looks
want
extravagant.
I didn't want to make a simple. I wanted to make a crazy one.
All right,
here.
maybe you make a crazy one week, but then show me an example
Sure.
of a simple one
If
that
you
looks.
were to jazz up a tequila sunrise, like she
Okay.
could have put her own twist on it. That's all I'm saying. It was a basic one. Just add grapefruit instead of orange juice.
You even do
like
the.
that. That's what I'm saying.
On your tequila sunrise, you even do the sugar around the rim.
I don't. I haven't. That was nice.
See, there you go. So
There
I
it
gave
is.
you a garnish. I gave you a twist.
Got some flair.
Okay, and then Tiffany comes up with sharing items to increase sales, which
Mm-hmm.
that's a good idea. I think if you're at a bar, some finger foods, right? Those are getting bigger.
I
Sliders
told you
and
that's
things
my
like that.
favorite.
Yeah,
Right.
everybody
Sharing
likes to.
foods.
I think that's a millennial thing
Tapas.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is tapas millennial?
No, not tapas. There's
Saying
sharing food.
sharing
Why?
bite
But that's the same
size.
thing.
I think,
Sharing
listen,
bites
but you're
is
looking,
tapas.
but you're okay. So, but you're looking at that like that's a negative connotation. That's just behavioral habits.
But
That's
I
all.
know
The word
no,
millennials doesn't have a positive
No,
connotation.
It really doesn't.
But
But again,
that's-
I just deal with what is.
It's a different conversation.
We could say young.
Deal with what is.
No,
young
all I was
person.
saying to you is that how is tapas millennial, because it's been around forever.
I'm saying. Yeah,
He's saying
it's a
he's
lot
saying
bigger
it's
now.
smaller.
Okay,
I
it's
think
more
you and your
trendy now.
friends go out.
Yeah.
Your habits are different than
Right.
older people's habits, and I
we're
think
broke. No, I'm
Huh?
just kidding.
Maybe
Yeah.
no, but that something that could
little
be
more cost
Yeah, but
effective.
that could be true. Yeah, but
Yeah.
the economy hasn't been kind to you guys, and then you guys are
Mm-hmm.
horrible workers to add on top of it. So what do we do? Anyway, all right, not
Except
you
for
guys,
us, because
except
we work
you two.
in
Right.
multiple industries.
All right, listen, you guys.
Oh, that's funny.
Tell me all about this Maria Menounos podcast. I keep hearing so many great things about Nicole. Speaking of how to educate millennials.
Yes. Well, for those of you who don't know, Maria's podcast, Conversation with Maria Menounos, of course, is hosted by our founder and beautiful Maria Menounos. It features celebrity and influencer interviews along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of life. She's like the female Jon Taffer. From health and wellness to career and relationships, finances, and more. Maria is basically like the big sister you've always wanted, which I can agree with that. And you can go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos, and it's free. Free. We like free here.
Free's my favorite word.
Millennials love free.
We love free.
Including
It's my favorite word.
And you can rate and comment. When you do, please let Maria know that we on Bar Rescue sent you there.
Yes, that's the biggest thing, guys. So when you go to iTunes, Conversations with Maria Menounos, rate, subscribe, but then when you comment, you say, it was the team from AFTERBUZZ Bar Rescue that sent us here.
So
and you know what's so funny? Maria and he are such good friends. Like the three of us are very good friends. Maria Menounos, Jon Taffer, and myself. But I enjoy when they get together, they almost speak a different language.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Kinda
I
like
speak
last
my
week.
language to Jon, which is he'll tell me about bar and business, and I will tell him about show business.
Right.
And then when Maria gets with him, it becomes business, philosophy, human behavior. It's a whole other level. But that's Maria's podcast, which is why, again, bring it back to Maria's podcast. It's amazing because she has anyone from Tony Robbins to, I mean, the greatest experts in
And
the
Jon,
world.
right? He was
And
on it.
John's been on it many times. But then, and also, Maria calls the podcast hilarious. So it's a little bit silly, a little bit serious.
I like that.
So there's something for everybody there. I think especially if you're a female. And Maria's like, why do you say that? She's like, I have guy fans too. I'm like, I know you do, but I think that there's so much great information for women,
Right now, too.
So
It's
I'm
important.
hoping,
free.
And it's free. That's our favorite word. But I'm
Yes.
really hoping we can get Amanda and Serena to download it.
Yes, please. Every Friday on iTunes.
Amanda and Serena, please, if you're watching this, I think they could use Conversation with
notes.
Maria, right?
Yes.
All right. So stress tests, they come in, and of course, they succeed wildly. And that's
In
it.
the beginning, I kind of
succeed.
thought that they
No,
were going
I'm being
to
sarcastic.
succeed. No,
Yeah.
I'm saying I thought it was going to
crushed
be
it.
okay in the beginning.
Why did you think that?
I just
I was
thought
hoping-
that they...
Because
You know what?
Tequila Sunrise is a very simple drink.
Thank
Kevin.
you.
That's why.
Thank you. Okay.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know. Amanda was a little
I
overconfident.
I had a funny feeling too, like that what you're saying, and because the show does switch things up, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They'll throw us a curve. I would love to see a successful stress test.
Me too.
And so I was kind of thinking the same thing. She felt pretty damn good, but then the wheels came off the wagon pretty
Yes,
fast.
we had
There's been a few that were kind of close.
Close.
But usually then it's like the
At the end,
facility or
it's
something
just-
that fails them, or they run out
Right.
of ice or something.
Yeah. Well, they ran out of glasses. This
When
time.
he said they don't realize that they have to clean the glasses.
"Oh man," I was working at this bar for the last 6 months.
That's hilarious.
And I had to act as my own bar back, and they had a bar back, and that's really frustrating. And you could probably relate,
Yeah.
Nate, because this bar had 1, 2, 3 stations
Three
and
walls.
one glass thing in the corner.
Oh,
and
good.
if you were in the third station next to the glass cleaner, you better man up and know that. And I was
Everyone's
the only
just
girl.
waiting
I
on you
mean,
to
I
do
don't
it.
mind being, manhandling things as a woman. But if I'm constantly taking out the glasses, polishing them, and you're interacting with the customers when I'm the only girl behind the bar, I guarantee I can make $5 extra
Right,
dollars
more-
on that
make
tab,
more tip.
and you can wipe the glasses. You can tell
That's
why
an
I
ego
left
thing.
that bar.
Yeah. No, I've had that as a bartender too. I've had that experience where I was doing all the work, and,
Yeah.
and one guy was like, this one guy who I know was stealing our tips too. We'd pool the tips. And he always had to count it, and then we all got like short change. But this guy would hide. I worked at this bar, TT the Bears, in Cambridge. And this guy, and I only say that because if anyone's listening and knows that, you probably even know who the bartender is, this older guy. And he would like literally, it
Shots
still
fired.
bothers me to this day. Well, I was, I remember my life was a lot like yours. It was just probably worse at your age. I had no money, and you needed that extra $7 or
Yeah.
$8 like made the
Yeah.
difference.
Paid for your parking.
But anyway, this guy would hide in the cooler and pretend he was stocking beer, and I would be the one, slinging drinks out, speed,
Yeah.
knocking down that huge crowd, And then so it does. It breaks your spirit. It makes you not want to work.
Yeah.
So-
Service industry is very much a team thing, so you want
Yeah.
to be able to have people that you can.
That's
count
right.
on.
And, you know, that's right. That, you know, and the best bartenders were the ones I felt that were a team that worked together.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, oh, you got that? I'll take care of this, or I'll get, you know, like. But so I feel you on
Yeah,
that. Nicole.
it's hard when you go into a bar and people are kind of like accustomed to their own thing, and like you're the newbie, and they don't include. That's
Oh, and that
really-
clicky stuff too.
Yeah.
I mean, please, that's a whole other thing. All right,
Yeah.
so a total fail. 1 hour. People didn't have anything, and they were there for an hour, and it was like 28-minute ticket time. So you know, again, stuff we've seen before. The pod buster. You know, the little commercial break where you see.
She ran in the kitchen, right?
No, it was the one that I'm referring to is with John, Mia, and Tiffany cracking up in the SUV at the guy trying to hurl the pizza. He's hurling the pizza dough up in the air.
Oh, were there two there?
Yeah, there's always
okay,
two.
Okay, yeah.
That was why. What was the one you saw?
Just doesn't she go in the kitchen and bring the sliders? Like she's like, stealing this, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they're like, where are you bringing it to?
Yeah, no idea.
Yeah.
All right, morning after stress test. So they have to go to a bar named Coasters to test off site because they're going to do so much work to the old bar. And again, you can tell John really appreciates Amanda and for her efforts, and then
And she appreciated his
and that
compliment.
and then the mom had Amanda's back, and I think John, when he usually hits the morning after stress test, he knows he's beating them down a lot, so now he's got to start kind of
building them back up.
building them back up, which I think was genuine.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, you know,
Got to break some eggs to make an omelet, right?
true. So we've got
like
fish
that.
tacos in the kitchen, and what did Mia come up with?
The Orion, which is basically a rum mule. And see, I like mules and I like takes on mules because it's such a trendy drink right now. Yeah. And whenever people are like, "Oh, can I have a vodka mule?" I'm like, "Why don't you try a tequila mule? Why don't you know?" Or then they call Texas mule the.
So what is? But
It's
what
all
is?
about the
mule.
Kentucky mule.
So what's the Orion?
The Orion's rum, and then she did lime topped with ginger beer, right?
And so that's a
So a mule is just vodka, lime, and ginger beer.
They call it a Moscow mule.
Moscow mule.
oh, Moscow Mule. Okay.
Yeah, usually comes in a. Help me out, Nate.
It's like a tin, like a
like
copper
I've
tin.
seen
Copper,
it, yeah.
copper
Gets a little
glass.
lime.
It's
it
so
good,
trendy. It's very good.
It's really
and
good.
I always push people to try it with something different than vodka.
I mean, you say
because
ginger beer. You mean beer?
ginger beer.
No, it's like ginger ale, but
Oh, I
made with
see.
real ginger. It's not really sweet.
Yeah.
It's a little more
Oh,
bitter.
Yeah.
Oh, that
And-
sounds cool.
And then she also added bitters to her rum cock or the Orion, and that's what all mules
and so
should
Nicole,
have. Bitters.
you approved.
Totally signed, sealed, and
Very
delivered
nice.
On that one.
Okay, we sit down with the owners. Okay, so now we have our sit down. John, first, interesting. He sits with Amanda first. Notice that? Mm-hmm. I think she's the one who's the future of this place.
Yes.
Like
she
she's-
needs the support from her mother, but she's going to be the leading force if
Right.
that place is going to be successful.
He doesn't want her to fall back into the old dynamic with the mother.
When he said that she has a chip on her shoulder, I wasn't sure if that was the right words because it was more. I would say it was more like she just was carrying
Like Amanda?
weight. Yeah, he said.
Well,
because he said that she could tell.
I would say she has a chip on her shoulder.
You would.
I think she's rightful to have a chip, but she definitely has a chip.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's got edge. Yeah, I mean, you're
'Cause
right.
she
Someone
was-
put it
She's
there.
kind of like
Snappy.
she doesn't really have a choice but to be involved in
Right.
the business.
I mean, that's how they've been taught to communicate, and
Right.
plus, it's just become dog
exactly.
eat dog.
When you
and-
grow up in that house of dealing with
Right.
people who have those type of relationships, you have to
Yeah.
learn to verbally spar back with them, or else you won't survive. So that's where you get these antagonistic relationships.
And the communication in the kitchen and behind the bar wasn't good on both levels. And I think a big reason also is because their communication wasn't bad. So how is communication throughout your entire place of business going to be great when you're setting the example?
Right. That's all they see is them
And
screaming
I
at
like,
each other.
yeah, I like that Mia even said like the space awareness and the communication behind this bar is not working. It's important. Like I always, and when she said you do the tap on the shoulder, I always do that. I do a nice slide in the back, like get out of my way, or
Yep.
You know,
behind
I
you,
do the finger in the back.
corner.
I do the finger.
Right. Safety words.
Because
Yes.
especially and again in the Me Too movement, I just do the
Well,
finger.
I know.
I mean,
you
have to
Use
know-
all four hands,
Just a
all
little
Right.
thing, just a little
When
thing.
I first start somewhere, it's the hover behind you, behind. After you've worked there for a few months, it's like, hey, honey, excuse
do
me,
that.
I'm
Yeah.
right behind you.
I always do
Hey,
the rub on the back.
hey, you toots.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, see, and that's
Let's see.
All right, you guys, listen. If you like what we're doing here, please, for our show, will you go to iTunes and rate and comment? AfterBuzz TV Bar Rescue. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like us and leave your comments. We will take them under advisement. We will read them. We will dissect them. It helps us, you guys, in a lot of ways, especially if we're on the right track. This is a weird show because I know a lot of people are surprised that there is even a bar rescue after show, but our fan base is usually bar owners and people in the. I guess it's a bar thing. It's a food thing.
This was a big show for me to watch with either like some of my friends that I worked with or like a significant other who also worked in the industry, and just being able to commiserate about the stuff we deal through, but then also see the way Taffer approaches different issues.
Yeah.
And it's not just business stuff, it's also relationship and communication, like all these different really interesting things. I can understand if you're not in service industry, you might not be able to see how it can relate to you, but I think the rest of us that have worked in the industry can get it right away. So I think it makes sense for there to be discussion.
Yeah,
about
my
it.
roommate came home. She's like, sits down next to me while I'm watching. She's like, I get why you love this show.
Oh, she got in.
She's like, this show is so you. I'm like, yeah, but it also helps me feel not alone in the sense that I'm a struggling barmaid. No, I'm a struggling bartender
Mixologist.
and mixologist, and
Please.
I have family issues and all this stuff. So it's nice to know that I'm not alone.
It gives you hope too to see that somewhere there's appreciation for good employees that do their job and actually care about what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's always what makes me
nice.
cry, is when I see the employees that care. They love the place they work at so much that they're hanging in just for that, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Those places become a family. You spend a lot of stressful times with each other, these
Right,
traumatic
you're in the
experience
trenches.
with guests, and then afterwards, those are the people you commiserate with.
And some people can't relate to being in this industry, and like some people will be like, that's not a real job, and this show shows that it is.
I also think, I also think small business too. I think if you are an entrepreneur, or you want to open a business, or you run a small business, I think there's so much valuable information that Jon gives. That's why I said to Jon, I said, as time goes on, I'd like to see you progress from bar to kind of small business entrepreneurship, and then even to just people problem solving, because that's what he does.
I want a Netflix Taffer show where we get like 3 episodes for each rescue, where we actually get more of like what they do, because they cut those 5 days down to
It's unbelievable.
45 minutes. Like there's so much stuff that's left out that I know would be so great to see.
Yeah.
I'd love to watch an
I feel like
extended
he
cut
kind of
sometime.
does something similar to that with the bar. The
updates are great.
show.
Yeah.
Is that bar updates? Is that what it's called?
No, no, he, I mean.
The one where he has everybody come
No,
in
when
and-
he does when he does Back to the Bar.
back to the bar.
So he gets some,
Back
but
to the
even
bar.
still, it's glossy, it's produced, it's
Right.
great. It gives us something,
Yeah.
but it's not as down and dirty as you're talking about, Nate.
Yeah.
Which you're right, I would love it.
Yeah,
Well,
I just appreciate him for his honesty so much.
Right.
my God, and so do I. All right, so we have the big reveal, and interesting, it's a daytime reveal, and it's raining. Maybe it was because of the rain. Normally they do the
in Florida it rains like every. They have that like
Every-
20-minute period.
yeah.
Of the
Oh, that's
day.
true.
They
So I
probably
figured that
set
was
up and it wasn't raining, and then as soon as they turned the camera on,
And then it went.
Yeah.
So it was, but usually it's a nighttime reveal. It was day. I did notice they had someone there from the town. Somebody official. Did you see cut the ribbon?
Yeah.
Because I think it is a historic bar,
Which was nice.
which was nice. And we see the outside, and it's clean. It's pristine. They
yeah, I love it.
Kind of
right.
looks like like you wouldn't know it was a bar, but I liked that a lot.
and the sign. They mentioned it was the father. Did they just keep the old sign, or
I
did
think
they?
they tweaked it. Because if you look in the beginning of the episode, it wasn't right. It was just like digital or something,
Yeah.
and then they added the one that hanging.
That supposedly
above
was the
digital.
father's design or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I
to
think
that
it's like
effect.
a reimagining of the original
Okay.
design. They're just trying to update it.
So, I mean, that looked great. And listen, a quick shout out. I did a field trip over to Theory, which was last week's, and it looks great. It really does. It looks fantastic. It looks wonderful on the outside.
Did you go in?
I did poke my head in.
Did you get any food or anything?
No, because I don't even think it was open yet because
it was during the day?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I saw
I want
enough.
to check it out.
It was really, it's nice.
It's real close, right?
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
right up the street. It's I mean it's not the street, but it's in Reseda, so it's not far. But anyway, we go inside, and we see this like, I loved it. I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys tell me what you thought.
The chairs are really cool. I like the modern dining-esque feel to the space. And then it's fun for people to come in and actually treat it like a historical place with the chair and the decor and thinking a little bit outside of the box to post pictures and draw more attention to it. You know what I mean?
What do you think of the astronaut chair? Wasn't that cool?
I thought it was cool. I thought it's a great social media marketing tool, and I love John always does great research on the areas and the things around it, and basically turning that place into. I mean, it was already a historic place, but officially making it almost like a historic
leaning into it
monument.
more.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, giving people a reason to come and see it, even if maybe they're just tourists and they're just coming by. Doubling down on the history of the surrounding area and all the
Right.
NASA stuff, I thought was great, and I
Yeah.
thought they implemented it really cool.
I thought so too. And of course, everyone's going to be very happy and hugs galore. So moving on to Bar Rescue updates. Reviews are mixed. Some people are very positive, and then others not so much. We see this a lot where they'll knock the rescue, but it's, if you read between the lines, it's really the staff or the owners who they're down on. And again, it's just hard. How do you change in 4 days these people, to really become different human beings, different bartenders, different managers, different
and
owners?
how do they sustain it once they
So
keep that momentum?
Anyway, but there was also information about, I think that, one of them had a DUI. I think it was the mother. Just can't hold that against her. But in her past, and the daughter actually had a conviction for drugs, but years ago. So let's hope that's all behind them, and that this is a new beginning. But they still have the bar; it's still running.
Still have the bar.
And we got in the reveal that sales are up 5,000 a week, which is great. And
that's kind of huge,
right?
5,000
I
a
would think
week
so.
is
I would think
good.
so.
Yes.
I'm hoping that they own the land in the building. I'm hoping when the father bought it, they own that. I always bum out when it's they're leasing the place, because then it's like, oh God.
But my
seems
wonder
like they
is,
own it.
I
hope
mean,
so.
then what is all that debt from? Because that's a lot of debt.
That was a.
$600,000.
I don't
Usually
know.
we hear way
Is
less.
it
Like
just
usually, the last one last week was 150, and that's
maybe-
a lot.
well? Here's the thing with debt. Is it debt that's owed, or is it money that they've put out over the years and have not recouped?
Okay. I see what
Okay,
you're saying.
you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's probably what it is.
Okay.
So what they're on the hook for might be different, but that's money that went out there that they didn't get back. That is considered debt. So it could very well be that. Let's move on to predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Why this sound?
That's also a nice thing in this episode too, where it said, "Hey, it took us 29 years to get along like this." And that was nice. I mean, so that was nice. But moving on to next week, I think I've got a wackadoodle.
No, you definitely do.
I think I've got a. We have. Nate? Did you just rush out and not?
Yeah, I didn't get to see the teaser.
So in the
unfortunately.
teaser, we have a cook who decides to use the kitchen sink as his personal place to shower.
Like gets fully naked
Fully.
in the
No,
kitchen.
stop.
And you know the hoses?
Yes.
On the big sinks? He uses the hose.
No.
Yes,
Oh.
and he's in the kitchen smoking butts. No. And from what I
No.
gather, he's an asshole. I mean, he's not.
I predict.
He's not just a poor guy.
Is this
who's
like
showering
a
there.
chef-run place kind of a thing? Because how do you? I don't know.
Yeah, I was just
I
saying-
could explain how it happens. You want to hear how?
No.
No. I'm going to not explain the disgusting part. I'm going to tell you how in business you end up with
Okay.
people like that. Again, I was in the carnival food business for 10 years. And everywhere you looked, it was like a junkie, an ex-con, or whatever. And I'll never forget when I first started being like, I'm like you, Nate. I was just like, what is this? This makes no sense. Why? No wonder we have like rides falling apart and
Right.
and the first thing I was taught was like, well, okay, well, why don't you go out and find someone who can work,
Yeah.
who will show up
instead.
7 days a week,
Yeah.
I
mean, there's a
no
lot
matter
of people
the,
that want
no
jobs.
no matter what no, not in America.
Yeah.
No, there's
Not-
a lot of
yeah.
entitlement. No, you think so, especially like manual labor. But anyway,
Yeah.
so then you find a guy. We had many guys in that business who were drug addicts, alcoholics. I mean, hardcore, like literally have the DTs, the shakes in the morning, and they'd have to have their booze. It was like part of it, and it was literally like their gasoline. But yet, they were, one guy was like before he lost everything to being a full-on junkie, he was an electrician. So basically for like $10 an hour, we had an electrician.
Right.
So, you get a guy like that who shows up all the time, probably even lives there. Like that's another one too, where they'll let them have a couch in the back, or they'll have listen, there was a place next door to AfterBuzz that had a small trailer in the back, and same thing. Just a guy living out there who was like 24-hour handyman, watch guard, whatever. And, they just let him sleep there. So it's like, so you see guys in this business get
Right.
You think you're winning in the short run as an owner. Well, he's great.
He's getting the job done.
He gets the job done. He's always there. He doesn't cost us any money. He's dependable. Like, who else am I going to find is going to get up at 6 a.m. and open the place? He's right there. All these things you do, you talk yourself into
Right.
why someone like that
Qualifying.
is good, and they're freaking nightmares.
Yep.
Right.
So I know where they come from.
Well, I can't wait to see what this guy's story
I'm
is.
so excited, but it looks like he's not. By the way, he looks like he's just part of the problem. It looks like there's other people on this episode too.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I predict that he is not going to get fired.
They never do. No.
But we have
They
seen.
used
Place-
to.
they
Yeah, you're
replace
right. You're
people.
right.
I missed that.
Well,
Yeah, when he makes them fire them,
Okay,
it's like,
but
you fire
once-
him or I'm
but
leaving.
once again, and we'll go on this note. Yes, we have seen them fired. Then we see them get brought
Yeah.
back in the credits later. It's just, or we find out on Bar Rescue updates they get brought back. So once again, when we're asking these owners to make the more drastic changes we have to make, the less the chances of them
Sticking
to it.
Yeah.
You guys, where do I find you?
You can find me at Nicole Brajer all over social media.
And you can find me on all social media at Dog Like Nate.
Dog Like Nate. And Nicole, are we bartending anywhere this weekend?
I know. I just wrapped up a gig downtown, another festival, and then Coachella's in like a week.
Scamchella.
Can't wait. Bring
Are
it
you
in.
are you there the whole week? Are we gonna lose you that time or no?
No,
Or
you'll-
just
you'll-
weekend to weekend.
I don't know how I'm gonna watch the episode, but we'll figure it out. You probably get me like Monday. It's Monday, so I'll be back on Monday.
And I'm gonna be looking forward to.
I'll be really
And
tired.
that's not next weekend, right? That's not next week, is it?
No, it's the
week after.
following
Yeah.
weekend.
All right, because Nate, we're gonna be looking forward to a Coachella update.
Okay, right.
All right. I want to know what
The
drinks.
first person perspective of what
Right.
happened.
Oh yeah.
We got it at AfterBuzz Bar Rescue. We got feet on the ground at Coachella. You guys, at Undergaro, check out the Tomorrow Show. Tomorrow night, I think, Juliet, right? Juliet in the booth? No.
Man.
You got Jeff Graham in the booth.
Oh, Jeff Scam. Hi.
Jeff Scam in the booth. But I'll be tuned in to TTS because it's my favorite, y'all. For those listening, Kevin's show, The Tomorrow Show, is wonderful.
How about that for a plug? And Jeff Scam, I know you're busy, but do you watch any Bar Rescue?
I know I should, Kevin. I've watched a couple episodes per your recommendation, but
Didn't
Jon
really get
Taffer-
anything out of it?
No.
John's too scary?
John's too scary for this boy, Kevin. But
All right. You guys, we'll be back next week for another exciting Bar Rescue AfterBuzz TV after show.
From
Bye.
executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.